Hopefully these microphones are okay this week. I don't know why I didn't follow up. I bet he was. It must have been an overhead thing because it weren't me. Because every so often you could hear us talking. But it must have been the surround. It's awkward for you to do the minutes, isn't it? I couldn't hear anything. Luckily, no one was here last time. I'm hoping the others okay. Couldn't hear bugger all. Like, what? Right, you ready to go? Time is it 5 o'clock? 3 minutes to. 3 minutes to. Well, yeah. Don't think so. Not 100%. Yes. Things you want to say. Yeah, because I've not got anything to add, but I thought if everybody gets the opportunity to have a few days to call for it, but I don't think anyone else can add some things in. Because I left Adam, the one we'd already said was okay, but we said we'd get more. Yeah, get more. Put it on the March meeting and then full council in. Hopefully not much needs going in, but you never know. Other than that, I don't think there's anything to mention. I know, isn't it? We're all on different times. Oh no, yeah, it's 59 now. Yeah, just apart from Vicky. Mm. Ready? Oh, and then on the waiting list, just remember to say about us wanting to extend the 0.1 mile. Remember, yeah.
Well, we welcome you all to the allotment committee meeting on Thursday, the 29th of January. And I hope those that are listening on the live stream can hear me this week, as we did have problems with the last allotment meetings. Apologies.
None received.
None received, thank you. Declaration of interests. Hello.
Hi, Vicky.
Anything on the minutes? Can we approve those as a correct record? Anybody to second those? Councillor Moffat to second, Councillor Robinson to propose.
Do you need some papers? Do you need papers? I'll run down and get Vicky some if you don't mind.
We'll just wait for a moment. So there's nobody here for the public forum, but I know that an allotment holder on Sutherland Street is listening to us.
I do apologise, Chair. I'd just like to point out on the previous minutes there needs to be an amendment made on item 11, which is the next allotments committee meeting is the 29th of November 2026. So I think that might want to change. Yearly now. It looks like we're doing a yearly one. We're a bit early.
Thank you.
Now, it's just something that needs, obviously, amendment changing.
So we'll go on to item 6, Sutherland Street, to discuss if a current plot holder can take on a second plot. Now, I know that he has got a partner who may be willing to take on another plot, but obviously lives in the same accommodation. So what are your views about that? Councillor Robinson?
Thank you, Chair. Is his partner applying for the plot as an individual, or are they applying together?
I believe it's individual.
Therefore, that person should be treated as an individual. Therefore, any agreement signed would be by that individual, not the other person. Therefore, I think the partner should be ignored on this application and treated as an individual.
Thank you. Councillor Moffat, did you have your hand up? No. Councillor Bell.
Yeah, it's actually rewording what Councillor Ian just said. If this is a new application, then obviously we've got to take into consideration if there's a waiting list, we can't push somebody in front of unless we've approached the waiting list and they're happy that they don't want that particular plot.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've shown around 3 people. A few people have looked through the gates themselves. They don't want it.
So if you've gone through the right procedure of it's been offered to whoever's on the waiting list, because the last thing you need is somebody turn around and say, hang on, I've been on the waiting list for 2 years.
You're right.
And you've given a plot to somebody because somebody owns one next to it. As long as we are seen to be fair and obviously following the rules we have.
Would anybody like? Oh, sorry.
How does this affect if it's husband and wife?
As Councillor Robinson mentioned, we should accept that it is an individual person rather than
What
an
happened
entity
because
together.
the plot's in my husband's name, but I regard it as much my plot as his.
Yeah, it's just because you're not meant to have 2 plots under the same household in our rules.
Yeah.
So, have we got anybody who'd like to propose that we allow them to have that plot or the individual in that home? Councillor Robinson, you'd like to propose that? Is there anybody who'd like to second it? Councillor Chamberlain. Thank you for that. Okay, the allotment agreement. We were going to have a little look at the allotment agreement and see if we wanted any changes on that. You'll be able to see on the second page that highlighted in yellow is the item that we did change about being able to not sell, but be able to give produce with the help of paying for the allotment rent. Is there any other items that people would like to see changed or viewed? Yes, Mr. Kibble.
On your yellow bit that you've marked out, I would like to change the wording a little bit. Not much. Cross out allotment rent being crossed out, and to help offset the cost of allotment upkeep and seeds.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. I'll second that.
Okay.
Ask a question, please.
Yes, certainly.
Sorry. I just want to ask a question I'm actually looking at rule 413 and 415.
413.
413 is use of barbed wire for a fence join any path or roadway to which members of the public can have access. I do understand that you can have barbed wire above a height of 2 metres, I believe. Or is it ever 1.5 or 2 metres? But if 2 metres, then if there is, then warning signs do need to be used. Obviously,
We've always said that there should be no barbed wire on allotment sites.
we're looking at section 13. That doesn't read that. It says not to use barbed wire for a fence adjoining any path or roadway to which members of the public have access. If barbed wire or razor wire is not to be used, I think the wording should actually reflect that it's prohibited rather than adjoining paths because that way you're not having any on the property.
Can we change
Yep.
that? Because that's always been our
Yeah, if it,
idea.
yeah, it's just, it gives clarity
Mm.
and it takes away that it says not to use it on a fence or as a joining path or roadway, but it stipulates there you can use it elsewhere.
Any other, Councillor Robinson?
Thank you, Chair. One that's always stood out to me is paragraph 4, subpara 3.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very difficult one because if a person signs this agreement, they are bound by these rules, correct? And that any violation of these rules as written can result in action taken against, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Then how come there are allotment holders who have signed this agreement who are not in keeping with this rule? And there are quite a few in Colne. I think this is very misleading. It gives no leeway. We know that there are certain allotments that, because of historical situations, etc., are being allowed to be used as gardens. But under this agreement, that is not allowed. There's a problem there. This needs to be reworded, either omitted or reworded, to take that into account that certain allotments can be used for non-produce purposes, recreational, whatever you want, amenity, whatever you want to call it. It leaves no leeway, this one. You obey or. And if you try to stop somebody who's got a big allotment, who's only using maybe 10% of it for produce, and saying to them you're in violation, they could turn and go, well, how come so-and-so on that allotment can have a garden? There's no, can you just want to try and get out there? It's a very tricky one, this. Any ideas?
Yeah, there are certain allotments like the one in Notts Lane that are actually, I think, garden allotments.
But under these rules,
correct? Yeah.
Yeah, because it says an allotment garden, which is wholly or mainly cultivated by the occupier for the production of vegetables or fruit crops for consumption by himself or his family, and not for any other purpose whatsoever. And they sign this agreement, they've got to abide by that agreement.
And that, I've got a star next to that actually, because it sort of doesn't bear relationship to the new rule that they can actually give away produce.
Could we admit this? And the good point on this is because we are not a statutory, we have no statutory allotments in Colne, and people forget that a non-statutory allotment, otherwise known as a temporary allotment, is not covered by the Allotments Act. In other words, the local authority, which in this case is the Colne Town Council, can decide on their own rules.
Thank you. Councillor Hannah Wood.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, 415. Paul said that MPNI agrees with the council as follows, and on 15 it says not good. I think it should be must not erect, not to erect, but must not erect sign or advertisement. Just a slight wording change. I think that would be because it's a bit the way it's worded, it's a little bit ambiguous.
Yeah. Yep. Can we just go back to the point that Councillor Robinson mentioned? Were you going to speak on that, Councillor Chin? Are we in agreement that 4.3 should be reworded and perhaps taken out? Councillor Bell?
Yeah, I mean, I'll put my hand up and I actually say I don't know what Section 22 of the Allotments Act is, and I will put my hand up to that one. But I do know people who have had allotments and they've grown flowers for competitions, which isn't a produce as in fruit. But
correct.
Now, I think if somebody's going to use it for recreational area growing fruits, growing vegetables, but if they're going to be growing flowers for a purpose, they like flowers, does that come under the section 22? Or is it a case of we'd have to look at that and say you can use it for flowers or you can use it as recreational, as long as it's tidy, as long as it's being cultivated, it's being looked after, for me would be a more productive way.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Rather than, I know Councillor is quite keen that, you know, if you've got it where it says here, you've got to have wholly, well, 51% of the allotment can be used as growing and 49% could be used for recreational. But I think we need to look into that one if we can find a corresponding act or rule or regulation, or we bring it in and say, you know, as long as you're looking after it, you're making it be more proactive rather than saying it's got to be just for that or you're off. I'd rather people enjoy the land rather than lose it.
We used to have a rule that 75% of the allotment was dedicated for growing items, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that doesn't appear to be here in the.
No, you're probably right.
Councillor Moffat.
Should we not be careful that we don't dilute what the purpose of the allotment is for? And that should be the important thing. And if there is and I think it should be that a certain percentage is for allotment use proper, and that should be
Fruit, vegetables.
Yeah, that should be the priority.
Mr. Kibble.
New Oxford Street, when it became a boggy, soggy mess, councillors went round and asked some of the local householders would they like one of these plots as a garden. Am I right? So they are gardens, not allotments.
And I think that's what we might need to look at, the distinction between those who believe that they have a garden allotment rather than a pure allotment. Yep, Councillor Chamberlain.
Thank you. There's something I did notice on there. I think we should add it's prohibited that any illicit substances are grown or consumed on the allotment. I think that something like that should be added, and something about antisocial behaviour as well.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever had that, but
No,
think-
but it is. I think it's wise that we put something
you're
just like
quite
cover
right,
ourselves,
yeah.
really.
Councillor Robinson.
Thanks. Yeah, quickly on that one, we don't need to put that there. That's already covered under legislation. So we're safe. This is for things that are not covered under legislation. Also, one that does crop up occasionally, I believe that Alkin Courts we've had this question. Bonfires.
Shall we move on?
On the put to actually in the agreement, when can they actually have bonfires for burning of like on the yeah.
To the 29th of March.
Yeah, and then after that, is it with, I believe, under the Environmental Protection Act, it can be done after that with authorisation.
Yeah.
On a wet and windy day, you're allowed to burn.
Yeah.
That was brought up by me when Eugene was on.
Wow.
So are you saying that should be
It should be
within our
there.
agreement?
Yeah. That way there's no confusion over people saying, well, I didn't know.
But if you want it in contract.
I think it should be.
I think that's a good plan.
Yeah. Also, very quickly, on the highlighted yellow, I know it doesn't seem to gel when you read it. However, produce grown on the allotment will be allowed on a non-commercial basis. However, sale of produce grown on, I think sale of, to offset, as you said, the cost of the allotment maintenance. Yeah, grown. Yeah, grown in. Sorry. However, sale of produce grown in the allotment plot. I think that's what it should read.
Okay.
To be grammatically correct. Yeah. Right, David. But David said so.
I've got a little mark next to 4.7 to fence off the plot to the satisfaction of the council. Now, some allotments aren't fenced off, they're open allotments, and that seems to read as though we're expecting all allotment holders to have fenced allotments. Yes, Councillor Robinson.
Cheeky one there, to the satisfaction. If you're satisfied that there's a notional fence there, then you're satisfied. It's in keeping with the agreement. So I
Yeah,
think that's safe.
That's it. Councillor Bell?
Looking at that, if you were to mark it down as if I get the right word, because I've got issues with memory, the marcation line of the property, as long as it's clean, tidy and secure. That's, like you say, it's rather than saying you will create one, because you might have somebody who has an apartment next door to somebody else, and all they do is put a footpath down the middle and they're happy with that. I think that one should be the demarcation zone that is within identifiable.
As you say, we can decide whether it's correct or not.
But I wouldn't put down council because it opens it up to which council. So I'd probably say the parish council or the town council. Just in case somebody thinks it's gone back to district or unitary or whatever it is.
So at the beginning, though, it's the town council. It says Colne Town Council officers, so I presume that people know it's you, not anybody.
Okay.
Okay, I would say that on I would actually,
the
word in itself, I'd say, I think marcation zone or boundary, word like fence, rather than fencing.
And, sorry.
Typo, I've just spotted it. I hate Roman numerals. 4.8. It says of clause 3 IX. It should be clause 4.
I've got that one marked as well. Yes, yeah. Because I thought, well, there isn't a 3.9.
Yeah, and also in keeping with what Councillor Bell was saying, there's a few. I think you see, council should have town council in front of it. Everywhere it says council should be put town council to differentiate, as you said, between the various ones. There's a few places in there which it says council and it should be town council. I agree with that.
Just like to point out, potentially, that it did actually state, I misread it. It did say between Colne Town Council there and called the council.
But then it says the council hereby, and it says so I think town council, just to be pedantic, because we are separate to the council, we are better.
Speak for yourself.
Okay, just I think one more that I've sorry.
Say in brackets, they're hereafter called the council. So why would you have to put something else? Saves typing. Do you know what they're talking about?
I think we're a bit mixed on this one. Who would propose that we just call it the council because we've already
Chair, it's already literally at the top of the agreement that it says an agreement made on the day of the month of the year between Colne Town Council hereinafter called the council on one part on the one part and the applicant of the other part called the tenant. So that in itself is the legal document. The rest of it is just all the all the itineraries that comes with that point at the top of this agreement.
So we're all in agreement that it should remain the same. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So why have I got a little mark against 4.12? Oh, it mentions greenhouses and sheds. It doesn't mention polytunnels. I just wondered whether we wanted to include a polytunnel because that's what most people are placing on their sites.
Was a polytunnel not come under the description of greenhouse?
No,
Because it's a completely
different shape.
It's like,
Yeah.
you have a different shape greenhouse.
Yeah.
A greenhouse made out of glass, and a polytunnel made out of plastic.
Well, what?
Sorry, Chair.
Under that, because you see, you've got a greenhouse of less than 20 feet by 10 feet, or a tool shed less than 8 by 6. A polytunnel is the dimensions of a polytunnel is because of the circular nature. It's going to be obviously it could be wider or lesser than the dimensions, the width dimensions of your what you've stated here, but it's always going to be, unless of course you're a tall person like myself and Councillor Robinson, and you want to walk through it, it's always going to be less than 6 foot or 2 meters high. So yes, we will need to put that in as an addendum to that, so that the tenant can, if need be, place a polytunnel rather than having a greenhouse, because erecting a greenhouse and erecting a polytunnel is a heck of a lot of a difference in cost. So I would put, Chair, I would put that in, and I propose that we put it in.
Yes, Miss Councillor Robinson.
Can't you just to make it very simple, just put a greenhouse stroke polytunnel?
Yeah, or structure.
No, because structure could be a shed, could be an
yeah.
outside toilet, could be, could be anything. So greenhouse stroke polytunnel covers both.
Councillor Bell.
Will you turn your bloody mics off? Thank you. Too many mics are on. Again, yours, Patricia. I'd just like to make an amendment to that one, actually, because it's like you say, we've got different sizes of greenhouses, we've got different sizes of polytunnels. But could I make an amendment, instead of saying it's got to be less than a certain size, that we actually put in that it's not of a size that exceeds, say, like 20% of the area. That way, because you've got large area allotments, we've got small allotments, but I think if we're to turn around and say it's not an overpowering area that's being used, but rather an adequate size that's not over empowering or over growing the allotment.
I mean, we used to have 75 production of produce, 25 could be left as obviously available for sheds and things like that. Is that correct, Mr. Kibble?
Sounds perfect to me.
Yeah, so maybe that's what we should pop in for that.
Yep.
Yeah. And then it doesn't matter whether it's a polytunnel, a shed or a greenhouse, as long as it's not taking up more than 25% as it used to be. Okay, Councillor Moffat.
The only other way other than putting these dimensions like that is to say it as covers a certain, it hasn't to be more than a certain area, square feet in area. But then that doesn't matter whether it's a polytunnel or a greenhouse, as long as it doesn't exceed that area.
I was going to say, if it's 75% growing, you are growing in the greenhouse, so it is part of your land, you know.
Yes,
part
very,
of the
very
growing
true.
area.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. So, what do we want to do? Do we want to leave it as it is or add polytunnel to it? Yes, Councillor Bell.
Can I propose then that we remove the current sizes, and that we do put down that 25% may be covered areas for the use of growing? Greenhouse polytunnel. That way, we're not putting down a specific size, because otherwise you can have somebody who's got a very large allotment saying, well, I need a larger area for a greenhouse or polytunnel. Yeah, somebody's got a small allotment, half the allotment is actually part of the greenhouse. So I think if we looked at a 25% land usage of covered areas, if you like, it covers then for polytunnels and that. But that's what I'd like to propose anyway.
Yeah.
I'll second that, Chair.
And are we all in favour of that?
So in theory, you could have 75% of your allotment covered if it's for growing.
Not according to what you just said.
No, if we only,
25% covered.
yeah, but I'm saying 75% is for growing and 25% is for recreation.
We're not saying for recreation, we're saying for the covered area.
Yeah, which is for growing, which is
Mhm.
part of what the allotment would be there for in the first place. We're not talking about the recreation bit.
No.
Yeah, that's the confusion because
Mm.
25/75, if it's 25% for the polytunnel or greenhouse, whatever, then it's limiting the size. Because if he wants to put a polytunnel, and I believe the difference,
Yeah.
historically the difference between a polytunnel and a greenhouse is that the polytunnel was classed as a non-permanent structure, movable structure, whereas a greenhouse was supposed to be permanent. There's a difference there. But if he wants to put a polytunnel on over 50% of the plot to grow produce, then he's in violation because it's more than 25% covered.
Mm.
So it's the person's extremely restricted. It can cause more problems.
Mhm.
Why don't we just say at the discretion of the council?
But I was going to say, as it's written here,
Yeah,
uh,
and I just say yes.
because I just leave it as it is, because that way a polytunnel, because you could argue because it's a non-permanent structure and used to cover the crops for growing, doesn't actually affect this. Whereas a greenhouse is a permanent. They can use a greenhouse for growing flowers, for potting, bringing things on, stuff like that. So I think this, as it stands, is okay. It's less problematic, less confusing.
Everybody happy?
Can I respond to that?
Mhm.
Sorry, I'm still on. I do apologise. I'd meet Michael. I understand the issue there where, like you say, a greenhouse is semi-permanent. It's not permanent because a lot of them you can put them in, you can take them out. A polytunnel, like you say, is a temporary structure. But I also understand where you say you can have 75% for growing, 25% for leisure. But what I was suggesting was 25% of the growing area could be covered, which would cover the greenhouse or polytunnel, not 25% of the whole garden, or the whole lot, 25% of the growing area permissible. So the 25% for other uses could still be there, but then 25% of the growing area could be covered. You don't need a greenhouse to do vegetables or flowers. You can actually use a polytunnel as well. But if you're doing it for seedlings, before you want to pot them in the spring, you've got that opportunity. But I think if you're going to be clarified, or you're going to turn around and say, no, you can't have it more than, hang on, get the right page, 10 by 20 feet, you might turn around and somebody say, well, I've got a very large allotment, that's not suitable for me. I would like to have a larger growing area for the greenhouse or polytunnel.
So you're saying take out the measurements and let it be
Take it out the 20,
at
take the
the
measurements out.
discretion of
Yeah.
the committee.
Yeah.
I think that would be absolutely acceptable.
Just say not without written consent. So you can go against that if you've got written consent anyway.
I think just take the measurements out.
Take the measurements out. So we'll do that. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else? So we'll move on to the next item, which I think is pretty explanatory. It's about bird flu, and you've all hopefully had that information. Is there anything that anybody wants to add to that, especially those who've got birds? Mr. Kibble.
When Eugene was on, he gave us a big poster to put on gates. And I did ask for one, but nobody's done anything about it. Why?
A poster for
Bird flu.
Saying about
Oh,
bird flu.
yeah. Yeah, I
I can
do
bring
one.
my original one in and let you have a look at it.
Yeah.
And probably all it needs the word is the date changing, that's all.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's something about 71, 80, I don't know. I'll bring it in tomorrow.
Yeah, it's fine.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I think that's quite important, isn't it? People to know the rules and regulations on that. The next item is item 9, allotment updates, and we've got a list of those, which I'll hand over to Leah.
Yeah, they're quite self-explanatory, but we've been doing some tree works. Done some new fences at Alkin Courts for the plot next to the stables, which they've done a very good job of. We've got a couple of new tenants up at Alkin Courts, so we're keeping an eye on them. Basil Street, the one that's been a mess for a long time, has finally got a new tenant on it. Number 4, which is at the bottom left, that's now vacant. So I need to show some people around that. Apparently it doesn't get any sunlight. That's the reason why it's been given back. So the trees that are covering the allotment belong to Pendle, so I could probably speak to Phil about it and see if he's willing to do any work on them at the bottom. We've got another one on Sutherland Street available, the top plot. 25B, still empty, the split plot, which I believe we're going to talk about on the next part. And I've sent out I've printed out the allotment questionnaires for this year too. They're ready to post, to deliver. Yeah.
Councillor Chamberlain.
Hey, I just wanted to update because the neighbour across from me on Peter Street was very keen to take on the vacant space on Broken Banks and get it back to.
Yeah, the very bottom plot.
Yeah, so I was just wondering if there was like an update on that because he said he's not heard anything. But I saw him before coming, so I said I'd
One
ask.
of my first ever committee meetings, we agreed that we was leaving it as a wildlife plot because that's the one that doesn't get any sunlight at the bottom. But if he wants to take it on,
Yeah,
he can do.
He's keen to
Yeah.
take it on.
Yeah, we've shown a lot of people around it. It's very overgrown though.
Yeah,
Mm.
he just wants to. He'll do the work and he'll get it up, get it to a really good standard. So if someone could contact him and that line.
Yeah, I suppose it's up to you as the committee if you want to open that up to him rather than the waiting list.
Councillor Robinson.
In view of the complications and cost to council of bringing the plot back into use and going through the standard procedures, I think if somebody is willing to do that work off their own back, then I think they should be given that plot, to be honest. So I'm more than happy.
Yeah, when I remember how the plot at the top of Broken Banks was and what a wonderful allotment site it is now, I think anybody who wants to take on a very difficult plot would be welcomed. Thank you. Mr. Kibble.
Once again, I'd like to complain about plot number 2 on Temple Street. It hasn't been touched since September last year.
Okay.
I'm having to put up with weeds and more weeds, and there is bindweed growing up there. Don't like it.
Oh, thank you. Did you have a look at the plot on Broken Banks?
Yeah,
Yeah, and
I'm talking to him.
brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. Can I just ask how much money we have left in the allotment budget?
I don't have the budget to hand, but I think it's about 3,000.
Okay.
3 and a bit thousand.
So when we get our questionnaires back and there may be items on there that need to be addressed, we can allocate some of that money.
Yeah, there's certainly money left in barriers and fencing. So.
Brilliant. So I would urge everybody who's listening, if you do get a survey, a questionnaire, everybody should, please fill it in because it will make a difference. Okay. Mr. Kibble.
Are all fees in from last year?
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, the next item is item 10. That's item 10.
That's what I
And that is the area that people living there can actually apply for an allotment at Alkincoats. You might remember the problem that there is with parking at Alkincoats, and in the past we've said that the same number of people that have always been on the site is kept, so we don't have additional cars. However, that site was becoming overgrown, a lot of large allotments, so we did divide a few of those plots, which would make more people. Therefore, we decided that it had to be an area where people could walk to rather than take their cars. I think, and a number of people have said, that that area is too small because you can walk from various streets, especially through the Snicket that is by Alkincoats Lodge and through to Priestfield. I'm going to ask Vicky what she thinks about it and whether we can extend to some of the extra areas.
Yeah, I think so, because the large one on the end has been let off to somebody on, is it Dale Street or Moore Street?
Is that a whole allotment?
That's a whole allotment.
That
Oh, I know that. I'm
yeah,
just
that's
thinking of the
okay.
area, but they
Yeah.
walk.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
They walk.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking those two streets,
Dale Street
Dale Street and Moore Street,
and Moore Street.
and because I can't think about how far it goes. You know, I was thinking to Barrowford Road at the other
Have
end.
you got your little map?
No, I don't.
So do you think all these streets that aren't highlighted should be included?
I was,
But it was only within that area.
Within
the,
that
the very
area.
small area.
That's
It's
right.
just Priestfield and half of Milford Street.
Yeah, that's
It's not a
far
lot.
too small for
Mhm.
because I don't think there's not that many people that want them. How many is available?
Just the one split plot, but
Right.
it's been available since probably last summer, I think, when I came back from maternity leave,
Mhm.
and it's been left all that time.
So would you go for all these streets on this map?
I would, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's not even including where I live,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but that's, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
maybe as a starting point.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
just to Barrowford Road.
to Barrowford
I
Road.
think,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly thought
Yeah.
Bancroft.
Because some of these on Wilmere Close, they're pensioners anyway, so I don't know whether I mean, they might have time, but they might not have the capability.
Mhm.
Yeah, because everybody can walk there.
Yes. Yeah. Councillor Hannah Woods, did you?
yeah, I was going to suggest going down as far as Haverholt and coming just off. I know we've got Reginald Street and Selby Street, but coming off to the next street behind
Mhm.
as because once again it is too small.
Yeah.
You've already canvassed it and nobody wants.
Yeah.
So a bigger area to canvass. It's all walkable.
Mhm.
Park Street, Reginald Street.
Yeah.
Selby.
Yeah.
That's what I do. Reginald Street, Selby.
Yeah.
Then when you get to Park Street, go up.
Yeah.
Use that square.
Yeah. So it's all doable.
Yeah. Now, we did talk, if we don't get anybody from that question about making it larger, we did talk about people on the allotment taking on half the plot as a community space. Would that be something that the committee would be happy to allow? The allotment holders getting together and making sure that that space was cultivated.
I think that's a good idea, but I think this should be given
Mm.
a good run first before we go to that.
Yeah.
explain the area,
Canvass
and
it
if that
again.
doesn't work, then think about.
Councillor Bale?
The only proviso I put into that one is if they do say you can use it as a communal area, is if somebody does move into the following area and they put an interest in, that do we turn around and say, right, we have to give 12 months notice or whatever it is for the community plot to allow the new residents to use it as, or are we going to look at it and say, if we do give it as a community, that's what it's going to stay as? It's something we're going to have to be careful of.
You're right.
We have got a number of people on that waiting list who want larger allotments, is that right?
On Alkin Courts as a whole. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, so I think that's everything. Items for future month's agenda. Anybody got anything?
So the policy amendments. Yeah.
Do we have a timetable for inspections?
Mm-hmm.
No, but we can discuss it the next one if you like.
How long have we given the people for the surveys? How long have we given them time to respond?
Basically until the next allotment meeting. So people who are going to respond generally respond quite quickly. Yeah.
What time are we thinking about for the next allotment inspections? Roughly.
We generally do April.
Yeah.
Is that a good time, allotment holders? Yes. Yeah. Gives people a little bit of time to think about getting out after the cold weather.
Yeah, that's fine.
And right, so we'll close the meeting. The next meeting has been
26th of March.
26th of March
5
Okay.
p.m.
at 5 p.m.
I might not be able to make that one. I won't send apologies, you should.
Wait and see. Yeah. Okay, thank you for joining us, and we'll close that meeting now. Say again? Yes.
Yeah.
What time have they got?
6:30 is the next one.
Yes. So what is it? Oh, it's the borough one.
Yeah. Area committee and something.
The borough.
This will develop a plan